Several people asked me how I got this customized picker for the character controls with the fingertips directly accessible here and the finger controls kind of like developed here, as well as the feet balls accessible directly here. So in this video I'm going to show you how to load this customized picker in case you want to use mine. And I will also show you how to tune it in case you want to customize it even further. But first I want to call out this GDC 2014 talk from Brad Clark from Rigging Dojo, Hacking MotionBuilder, 10 Things You Aren't Doing But Should Be, because that's where Brad Clark originally showed how to tune the picker, which this video is based on. In the description of this video I will link a Google Drive folder where you have Mobu customization and some instructions on how to install it, but you have this bin folder which you can download and copy in your MotionBuilder install folder. By default it's probably in your C drive in program files, but in this case it's in another drive for me, and access your version of MotionBuilder. In my case it's 22, but this also works with 20, 2018, any version. And basically paste and overwrite this bin folder. And this will change the files that are in system. Okay, and in system you have character controls here. You have default images. Okay, so basically I've edited this image to add RH and LH, which means right hand and left hand, so it's easier to remember like how the characters are oriented. And if you want, you could tune the left foot image as well. The left hand you could add left if you want to always remember it's the left hand. So this is where you can edit the images. And for the character controls, basically this is the original one, and the one you've downloaded from my Google Drive will be this one, Joko. So once you download it and paste all these files, you probably have something that looks like this. So the image has been updated, but you're missing the controls. So in the blue box here, the toolbox of the character controls, go to Edit, Controls, and Load UI Configuration. Now select Joko, Jonathan Colin, and you'll see the updated UI. In order to customize the picker, you can open up the XML file. So I recommend, of course, duplicating. In case you mess something up, you can always go back to your original file. And the first thing to know is this text file is organized per view. So you have full body, which corresponds to this. Then there you have left hand, which is that one. Right hand. Left foot. And right foot. And per view, you first have the declaration of the position of the objects. So every time you have anchor name, a certain like code name, okay, and the position in pixel. So in bin, system, character controls, default images, you can open up the full body image or the left foot, the left hand, the right foot, the right hand in your favorite image editing program. So here in Paint, for instance, and when you move the cursor around, you'll see in the bottom left corner the coordinates of your cursor. This is also very easy to do in Photoshop. So you have the coordinate in pixels. The first number is the horizontal position and the second number is the vertical position. So using this, you could kind of draw the position that you want. For example, like if you wanted the fingertips over there, or if you wanted some toes over here. Same with the left hand and right hand image, and you can try to remember like note down what's the position of those points. So this is how you adjust the position, and you can add more objects if you want. Then these objects are used a little below. You first have navigation anchors, which are these buttons that let you jump from one view to another. So for example, you could add a button to directly jump to the hand view from the foot, for instance. And every time there's a tooltip. Okay. So here it reuses the name of the anchor that was declared before. Okay, so the anchors are like variables. And the layer defines like what button takes the priority if two buttons are really close to each other. Okay. So a lower number will appear above because it has a higher priority. And then we have the IK anchors. The IK anchors are the spheres in the picker, and they let you select the IK effector of your character. So every time we have the name of the anchor that was declared above, so we know the position. And then we have which body part it belongs to. So this is kind of hard-coded, I think. And then there's an ID. The ID is, corresponds to basically some parts of the rig. So in my navigator, if I select my character and I go to character definition, I'll see a certain order of objects here. Maybe you haven't filled everything because, you know, in MotionBuilder's human IK rig, you don't need an object for everything. You just need the main ones, you know, the base required. And basically, if you think of this list as a list of numbers, starting here from the hips, that gives you the ID. So hips is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. So that's why here, in the ID of the hips, the ID is 0. And it's important to enter the body part because then when you select, for example, in body part mode, the spine, it highlights what belongs to this body part. So the pelvis are on their own, and so on. Okay, they're body part hips, but the spine up, it's another body part. See here we have spine here and spine there. The expander, for each IK anchor, you have an expander, okay, with some names. So in this case, it's the anchor exp hips 0. Okay, so it's another position. Okay, so this position will define where the little plus symbol is. And then you have an offset. In this case, 22 pixels in the downward direction. So the hips expander is over there, a little below the hips IK control. And then there's a downward offset of 22 pixels once you unfold this, so that if you have several auxiliary effectors, they will be offset every 22 pixels. You can see the same thing for the wrist. We have the expanders for the wrist, 22 pixels, because that's the size of the sphere. Okay, direction up. And they say max shown 4, so if you have more than 4 auxiliary effectors, they won't show up, but that's something you could tune as well. So that's it for the IK. Okay. And if I go down below, you can see in Joko, I've added the fingertips here. And then you have the FK. So the FK are basically those bars, and they don't have their own anchor declaration. Okay, here in the anchor names, it's only the IKs, the expanders for the auxiliary effectors, and the navigation points. But there isn't the FKs declared directly, and that's basically because the FKs are just links between two IKs. So for example, the spine. It's easy to understand because when you hover over the control, you'll see the comment here, spine. So you know this is the definition of this bar here. And this one is a link between the IK spine origin and the IK spine. Okay? And if I look up, IK spine 0 is spine end, and IK spine origin is spine origin. So basically this bar is basically a link between spine origin and spine end. Okay? So it's using the position of this IK effector and this IK effector. So IK anchor here and anchor over there. Okay, so same thing for the neck, for example. The neck is over here, and it's a link between IK spine 0, which is the chest, as we've just seen, the spine end, and the head. Okay, so if I were to just change the position of the head, I would kind of move that around, and the link here, the neck, would still be the link between this and that. And for the hands, there isn't an IK effector at the tip, but it's the same. This hand is a link between the wrist and an object called hand, which is actually somewhere over here. So in my case, I made it a little longer actually. So let's look at a concrete example. I have this character here. I only have 3 fingers, so I only see 3 fingertips here. Okay, the display is of course dependent on the rig. I also have some toes here, and those toes aren't visible in the full body view here. They're only visible here in the foot view. Let's say I want to add those to the full body view directly. So I'm gonna load a new control UI. Okay, I'm gonna duplicate that original one I had and call it demo, just to keep a backup. Okay. Now I will edit that file. The cool thing is that these objects already exist in the foot view, right? So if I go to the right foot, I can see those anchors. Okay, I have here right big toe tip, so right big toe here, and it corresponds to this IK anchor. IK right big toe, and I have IK right index, IK right middle, and so on. So I'm gonna copy IK right big toe, IK right index, IK right middle, and maybe that's enough for me today. I'll just do these 3 fingers. So I'll cut that into my full body view. Somewhere here. I will tune the positioning. So that guy here should be 16 360. This guy here 21 340. And 60 320. So I've prepared my positioning, and now I need to use those anchors on an actual object. So once again, I'll go all the way at the bottom, and I will select here one of the IK anchor definition. So right toe tip, right index toe tip, and right middle toe tip. And now I need to make sure this corresponds to what I've declared above. So right big toe 2, right big toe 2, right index 2, right index 2, and IK right middle 2. So now I can save this XML, and in Mobu I just want to do edit controls And actually, if you do that multiple times, you can keep that window undocked and say just update UI. And actually those objects just spawn there, right? I think, yeah, see here when I switch to my right foot view, they have exactly the same positioning. So something tells me that because the right foot is at the end of the XML, this overrides every declaration I might have done before. And my gut tells me that might be because I'm using names here that already exist. So what if I do, what if I remove this 2, for example, just to make sure I have unique names? And to be very sure, I will actually use Control F to search for this, quote, IK right big toe, end of quote. Okay, and I have this only here, so this is good. This is a unique name. Okay, and I'll make sure this same name is replicated here in my anchor declaration. And I'm going to save that and say update, and now the position is updated. So now I can, fine-tune my positioning. So maybe the index, for example, is a little too low, so I will raise that up around 350. Save, update. No, I need to reduce that number if I want it to be higher. Up, something like that. And maybe the middle one is too far to the right, so I need to reduce the X value, maybe 45 or so. Control S, update. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Now I just need to make the same thing for the left toes. So we'll duplicate that, change the names. I will duplicate my declaration over here. Okay, make sure I replace right with left. Replace, so with Control H, I can do find and replace. So I'll search for right foot and replace it with left foot. Okay, so find next, find next, find next. I'll skip the first 3 because they are my actual right foot, and then find next, replace, replace, replace. Okay. Okay, I can change the tooltip as well. So change right for left. Replace, replace, replace. And the last thing we need to change is the ID, because the ID here is the same, but this is not correct. Okay, so I need to find the original ID. So for that, I can find those guys in the left foot view. Okay. So left big toe was ID 37, 33, and 34. So let's try that. So 37, 33, and 34. Let's save. And I need to adjust the positioning, of course. So if I want the positioning to be symmetrical, I don't want to just do like X minus, of course, because that would be like outside the image. What I need to do is do the total number of pixels on X minus this value. So in Paint, I actually have the total size of the image here. So the width is 250 pixels. So I need to do 250 minus this number. So 250 minus 16 will be 234. Minus 21, it will be 229. And 250 minus 45 will be 205. A little bit of math, doesn't hurt. And now if I save and update, I have the toes on the right side for the left foot, okay? Because the character is facing us. And I need to make sure everything works. So, the tip, left big toe, left index, left middle, and I want to make sure the selection works with the ID. So that's what the ID does. Okay, index and middle. So that's how you tune the picker. Unfortunately, I've never found a way to add objects from a character extension, okay, because those aren't really part of the character definition, unfortunately. I've also never managed to add props, never managed to use those, so if someone knows the solution out there, feel free to share. Thanks very much for watching.